Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about eyeshadow palettes, specifically warm tone eyeshadow palettes. So, eyeshadow is the biggest part of my collection. It is my biggest weakness, although I am buying less and less, which is good for my wallet and my storage. But I realized I've done a lot of videos where I talk about seasonal makeup, which I don't think makeup has to be seasonal, but like here are the things that I'm excited to wear this fall or this winter and so on. But I've never done specific tonal one, so a warm tone palette list or a cool tone palette list. So I'm going to be doing both of those. The cool tone one will be coming later. We'll film that on a different day. So today we're going to talk about some of my favorite warm eyeshadow palettes. And welcome if you are new here. Hi, my name is Colin. I'm a non-binary Latinx scientist and lover of makeup. And I particularly like sparkly indie makeup and more luxury high-end makeup. And you will see both of those here today. And I tend to be pretty analytical in my content. I try to make thoughtful, analytical content, and I have new videos every week, so I'd love to have you subscribe. Okay, so before we get in, I do want to point out I like it when she makes appearances, but she's taking a little nap over there. She really loves her new couch. It's the best couch for napping. It's actually long enough for me to lay on it because I'm really tall and it's just so comfy. And she also really seems to enjoy the new couch. I realized while trying to pull this together, like I had a handful of rows, like these are warm palettes that I grab all the time. But I realized like looking through everything I own, like all 100 and something palettes that I own, I don't have that many warm eyeshadow palettes. I have a lot, like my favorite are things that are like warm and cool, like a mix. Like Natasha Denona Zendo is one where it has cool shades and warm shades. And I didn't put any of those in this list, but the vast majority of my warm shadows tend to be in those kind of things, I've realized. Because I tend to gravitate towards either something like that or like neutral to green to like neutral to cool, kind of taupe. So this was an interesting list to put together. Some of these you have seen on my channel a lot. Some of these are newer. Some of these are discontinued. I never want my videos, I do always like to give this disclaimer in a list video. This is just a list to show you some of my favorites. I'd love to talk to you all in the comments afterwards about what your favorites are, what your opinion of these are. I never want these to feel like a pressure of like, go buy all of these or anything like that. If you see some that you like and some that you hadn't thought of before, maybe that'll inspire you, or maybe it'll just inspire you to go grab some of your favorites that you haven't used in a while. So with that, let's get into this. If you are interested in the makeup I have on today, I did film this eyeshadow look and I will have everything linked in the description box. If you do use my affiliate links, I am very grateful. That little bit of money that comes back from that really helps the channel and helps me buy the things that I talk about. But I just filmed a review of the new Natasha Denona I Need a Warm eyeshadow palette, which is kind of what spurred this. And so I have that and some warm things on my face. I have realized that I really love like red, orange, those kind of colors. I like those as a lip, as a blush, but not really as much as an eyeshadow. So you will see some of those tones here, but it's mostly more like warm browns and goldens. So the first one on my list today is gonna be what I'm wearing on my eyes. So this is the new I Need a Warm palette from Natasha Denona. I think it has a stupid name. I just filmed a very long, in-depth video reviewing this. I've did this look on camera. I showed some other looks. I did swatches, swatch comparisons, so on. I really like this palette. I don't think it's for everyone, but I do really appreciate it for what it is. And I do have some thoughts on the formulas here. I think it has a few new formulas. One like this flashover cream to powder shade. Adore, want more of those. And I do like all the shimmers here. I don't really think some of them are necessarily a new formula, but you know, they don't really seem that different than the others, but I do really like them. So this definitely had to be on the list. I am wearing the warmest shade in here, which is the multi-chrome, which has this like red, peach, gold base with a bit of a green shift. And I did capture footage for that other video where you can really see the shift. So if you want to see that, go check that out. But this is more peachy terracotta warm, which is my go-to versus like red orange warm, at least on the eyes. Love an orange blush, love a red lip, love an orange lip. Just don't really like it on the eyes. So when I want something warm, it's often something along these lines, but I'm really glad I picked this up because I don't have a lot like this in here. You will see a couple other things, but generally this is pretty unique for my collection personally. If you have a ton of these, you don't need it, but I do really like this. The next palette on the list is a discontinued one and is very, very warm, but it is really lovely, and it is Judy's collaboration with Odins Eye. So this is one of my favorite palettes from Odins Eye. I did buy this. I have gotten a couple things from them in PR, like when they did the second version of this, because I do know Annette, but I really like this palette. It is very red. It does have that pop of green, which I think is why I love it, and this sunrise kind of golden shade. This is my like daily friendly comfort zone up here. The golden shade, the warm brown, the green gold shimmer. I do really love those. I have only used the shade Dragon once, which is why you can see it still has a really nice imprint. I don't really like that kind of a red on me, maybe as a blush or a lip, but I do really like these more muted shades over here. So Serene, Yin, Fire, these are red, but they're a little more muted, a little more earthy, and I really love those. So I'm very happy I have this. I pull it out in the summer a little bit, but mostly in the fall. This feels like a fall palette for me, which today's the first day of fall. This is discontinued, but it was around for a while, so I know a lot of people have these. I think this was, and I've said this before, the most underrated of the first three that came out. And I think Judy did such a good job. I've been watching Judy for a long time. For years before this, she was one of the first like makeup YouTubers I really started following in like 2019. So I will always really be happy that I have this. Okay, next is actually a pretty similar looking palette, and it is not available anymore as well, and it is from a brand that I can't buy from anymore because they were Russian, and that should tell you exactly what this is. This is the Flaming Gold palette from Sigil, inspired by Tammy Tenuka. Love this formula. This is in my top 5 formulas of all time, both matte and shimmer. I love it. They've released multiple palettes since the war with, Russia started the war with Ukraine, that I've wanted to buy. They look beautiful. They all speak to me. I love the packaging, everything, but you can't buy from them because of the embargoes, and that makes me really sad. But I do really love that I still have this. So this you could buy in a couple different forms. Like you could get it as 2 different ones, like the more warm side, the more neutral side. You could get it as minis. I have the full size here. It is messy because it is very well loved. And you can see how it's kind of similar to Judy's, where you have that green, you have that neutral, you have the red, but it is different and the formula is very different. I do like this formula better than Odins Eye. The mattes have a good amount of pigment, but they build really easily. They blend effortlessly. The shimmers are beautiful. I'm really sad I can't buy their last couple palettes, and they've sneak peeked other ones on Instagram, and I've almost unfollowed so that I'm not tortured by wanting to buy the stuff they're posting, but I just cherish the ones that I have from them now, and I really love this. So you've got a peach, a green, and then a brown, so you can kind of do a decent amount of looks. You've got this red shimmer, which is really beautiful. This multi-chrome here, I should have swatched this with the Natasha Denona. It's very similar, where it's got like a red, but this is kind of pinky red, to gold, to green. Like I see green when I'm looking at it this way. This is a really beautiful bronze kind of gold. This is a nice duochrome up here. I just think it's really special. Love the kind of rosy peach here. And then you've got a true gold. I love this palette, and I haven't used it in a while, so I really need to pull this out. I think I put them away and like stopped using them because I couldn't buy anymore, and it made me sad. So then seeing these made me sad that I couldn't get the new ones, but I think I'm at the point now where I just really want to use them more. So again, I'm back at that point. Okay, now the next palette is another newer palette, and it is from Suku. So they are a Japanese luxury brand, if you don't know. I bought this in London. This is from their fall winter collection, which just came out about a month ago. No, they came out in the end of July and it is middle of September. So it's been a couple months. They had a cooler tone, like purple leaning palette and a warm palette, but it's a really beautiful soft warm. So you can see there is this red kind of burgundy shade here. There's the little brushes here that are gonna fall out. And there's this red shade here, which is also kind of red, but like brown red. This one leans more burgundy, has a little bit of purple in it, but like warm purple. And this one, like maroon almost. Yeah, maroon is what I'm trying to say, not burgundy. This is like a maroon shimmer satin. This brown red is just really beautiful. And then you've got this like warm wheat brown satin shade. I really like this. It gives a soft, everyday, warm look to the eye, and I've been wearing it a lot at work, and I really love it. And I think when you look at other luxury quads that are often like around $100, these being $50, the formula is just so nice. I know Tom, Hope Mess Tom, got some stuff from them and wasn't that in love with the formula, but them and I have very different, but them and I have different taste in eyeshadow, so it makes sense, but I really do like how soft this is and refined and beautiful, and I just feel really nice whenever I wear it. So I had to include that. And while I'm talking about Suku, I had to include one of the other ones. This was my first Suku palette. I bought it while I was in France, and I immediately used it, fell in love with it, and then I bought those because those came out of like at the end of my trip. And this is from their spring collection. This is the palette 139. This is still available. I can link it down below. You've got a nice like soft yellow shade that like works really well as a base, like putting this all over the lid on top of primer, it just kind of diffuses. It's also a good blending out shade for me and my skin tone with my like more golden olive undertone. You've got this really nice orange shade. I love an orange. These two blend together really beautifully. And then the two complementary shades are kind of a smoky brown, sparkly shade. Like you can put it on as a satin or use your finger and get more sparkle. And this green shade, it's like a green gold, but these shades are like just sparkle, no base. So it just looks really beautiful over the others. And I think this is a beautiful spring, summer, fall palette. Love it. I have worn this, I've only had it for 2 months and I've worn it so many times. Next is gonna be one of my true warm tone palettes, and it's the Rust palette from Nomad Cosmetics. I love this palette a lot. This is in my top 2 with Gemini. They're like the original Gemini. Those like greens, olive tones work perfect with my complexion. And then when I historically wanted a warmer look, this is the palette I would grab until I got some of these other ones, because some of these are a little more recent. But I love it. You've got a really nice marigold shade, which I always love. You've got a peach, you've got a beige if you need that. This is a really beautiful kind of golden olive. So it's got enough gold in it that it's not like just olive brown, but it has that golden olive tone to it. So it's perfect. I use it all the time. And then you've got these more warm, reddy brown rust shades here. And then you've got the cool brown and the shimmers here are really nice. There are more standard satin metallic, but I really like those. They're not really sparkly, but I know people hate the melt shimmers. These ones I do like. I think this is a beautiful palette, and it's, I think, probably their best. This and Gemini 1 are probably their best, but I love this. So happy. I like wanted it for a couple years, and so happy that I got it, and over a year later, still really love it. I think I've had it for a year and a half. The next one I'm gonna mention is another newer palette to me, and it is also one of the favorites that I've had this summer. And this is the new Desert Road palette from Biro. So this is one of their pebbles. These are expensive. These are like $75. They're big palettes that they come out with once a year are like 100, 110. I think they're 115 now. They were like 105 the first time. Those, you get big shades, you get a lot of them, you get a lot of product, more bang for your buck. But this is the first of the pebbles, and I've swatched the other ones, and I want more of these. I think it's a different formula, but I really like it. And this is another like perfect everyday warm palette. So you've got a nice terracotta brown. I love a terracotta. You've got a nice peachy gold duochrome kind of shade here, but like a soft version. A nice champagne. This pink is really pretty. It's vibrant. I don't love pink eyeshadow. I don't really like, I like pink as like clothing, but not really like makeup wise. but this one is really soft. It's a little more sheer than the other shades, and so it just adds a nice hue and dimension to the look if you layer it with the other shimmers. And then I really love this interesting like purple over here. I think it pairs nicely and makes this a little bit more unique, and I have been using this a lot since I got it. I really love it. It's my first of these little pebble palettes from Biro, and I want a couple more of them. I want corporate colors and the like metal boots and snow for sure. So the next palette is going to be the most expensive palette on this list, and this should be no surprise to anyone who's been here before, and it is going to be Pat McGrath's Midnight Sun. So this is my favorite Pat McGrath palette. I feel like it's the most unappreciated Pat McGrath mothership as well, all being woke up. And I really love it. So she does have Sunlit Seduction, which has some warm tones in it, has some cool tones as well. She has warm tones in a lot of her palettes, and then she has like very cool tone ones like Subliminal, which is my other favorite. But this is warm with pops of complementary colors. It's earthy. If you don't know and you haven't been here before, earthy toned palettes are my go-to. So kind of like I said at the beginning, like not a full mix, not a full warm like red palette, not a full cool palette, but kind of a mix, or something that's like a little more earthy, subdued, desaturated. Those are the tones that I gravitate towards, which is why putting this together was a little hard. But I had to include this one because the mattes in this are warm. Taboo is like a perfect transition shade for me. Works really well with my eye, like with my skin tone. Hi, Bean. And then this shade up here is just a really beautiful red. I don't normally like red eyeshadow, but something about this like kind of rusty red mixed with Taboo just works really well for me. I really love it. And then you've got, you know, a warm bronze right here. You've got this full on rose copper sparkly shade. You've got a really beautiful gold. You've got this really beautiful warm champagne sparkly shade, which is also in, I think, Divine Rose 1. They use this in both. But then you've got the pop of green, but like, you know, an earthy olive green and this really beautiful blue purple to like add a little pop of something. I had to include this one because most of the shades are warm, even with this blue. And I think this is underappreciated. I love this palette. It's one of my go-tos this time of year, and I'm very excited that it's cooled off a little bit. I'm in the mood to wear eyeshadow again, because when it's hot out, I don't want anything on my eyes or face. And I'm excited to pull this out again. Okay, so I have a couple more here, a few more. So the first one I'm gonna mention is another Natasha Denona palette. It is a newer palette from her, and it is the Golden palette. You could pretty much interchange this with the Gold palette, but that's not available anymore. I have it, I love it, but this is the updated version, and I do think the formulas in this are better than the original. She just took out those like teal blue shades that I still also love. And I wish she would have left the lime shifty shade in here or something, but it's fine. It's beautiful. This is a warm golden shade palette, obviously by the name. You do have some neutral shades like Varus and Log. Nubia is pretty neutral, but you have more warmth and gold undertones to the various mattes in here. So you can see a little more gold, a little more gold, a little more neutral. And then gold to neutral shimmers. So this is very skin native for me. It feels very natural. I can get an everyday effortless look with this. I can get sparkly, I can get not sparkly. I've just grown to really like this. I was very excited when I saw it because I've been saying for a while that she should bring back gold, but as a midi, and she did, just modified. I do think some of the new shades are a good addition. I think these two are pale and they're a cream to powder, so they work on my skin tone. They are a nice like inner corner pop, like that brightening inner corner without being sparkly. I really love this. I think it's really well done, and if you are in that light medium to medium tan and you have more olive or golden undertones, I think this is a really great palette for you. Okay, so last three here, should finish this up pretty quickly. The next one is from vizart. This is the Laray palette. Most, I realized, of my vizart palettes lean neutral to cool tone. They do have other warm tone palettes, but they just don't speak to me like this one. And I think Vizart is another really underappreciated formula. So they have some of the best mattes out there. They have a good amount of pigment, but they blend easily, they build easily. They're just really beautiful. Their shimmers, like this one has a bit of a shift to it and it's really pretty. The rest are a little more satin, but I like a satin metallic. I'd actually rather have a satin than like a foiled, like a thick foiled shadow. I'd rather have satin or like super sparkly. But I think it's really beautiful. You have this purple pop to like mix it up so it's not just like warm brown and red, but you do have the red satin here, you've got gold tones, and then you've got these really beautiful warm mattes. I think this is a really lovely palette, and I think also one of my favorite neighborhoods in Paris. So I had to own this, really love it, had to include it, love the packaging. Yeah, one of my favorite neighborhoods. Okay, so the next palette is another Amy palette, and this should be no surprise to most of you, and it is the Horse Girl from Trixie Cosmetics. I love Trixie Cosmetics. I have bought pretty much every one of their palettes. I think there's like some of the like little holiday ones, limited edition ones I didn't buy, but everything else I have. And I really like their formulas. I like across the board love their formulas and like them as a brand. But this is definitely the best palette they've done. I think it has the best formula, it's cohesive, it works beautifully. You've got, again, those kind of terracotta earthy warm tones that I love, like desert tones. You've got some pink shades if you like pink. You've got this really beautiful duochrome down here. I definitely have other duochromes that are similar to this, but this one is just honestly beautiful. You've got a pop of blue, which I love. Blue is my favorite color. It looks great against my skin tone and my eye color. And then you've got these really beautiful neutral browns up here, like this high horse shade is a beautiful one and done smoky brown. Love it, have worn that dozens of times. So how to include this. This was the first palette they ever did that like sold out. Like I tried to buy it on launch day and it sold out and I had to pre-order it. And that's never happened. So it's great. And then last but not least, it's going to be Cinnabar from Lisa Eldridge. This was recently discontinued, but the brand, I have talked to the brand and they did say that the singles are staying. So you won't be able to buy this as it is, but you can buy the refills if you already own it or you just want some of the shades from it. You can buy those. And it's just the perfect compact warm palette. If I had to get rid of if I had to get rid of a bunch of palettes, I would definitely be keeping this as like one of my warm palettes. Probably this with the Suku. No, I don't think I want to get rid of any of these, but it's just like a perfect compact warm palette. This shade up here this is Raw Sienna, which is a perfect one and done for me. Like it has a little bit of warmth, a little bit of sculpt, but it works perfectly with my skin tone. If I want a little bit more red in it, I can use the deep ochre velvet shade here. I love these formulas. I love her velvets. They're cream to powder. Fired Earth is the perfect kind of smoky charcoal shade to add depth if you want it. And then you've got two shimmers that are metallic. This is Lost Summer and this one's Bronzite. So this one's like that like coppery orangey bronze and this one's like a more rose gold red tint to it. Really beautiful. I love both of them. And then this is her sparkly top coat shades, which a lot of people didn't like this. Might be why she discontinued this one. She does have some new palettes coming out, and so we'll see what those look like. One was Sneak. She did say she has 2 new palettes coming out soon, along with the Fawn that just came out, which was very neutral. But I don't know, people didn't like this. A lot of people say they like topper shadows, and then all they do is rant about them. So I don't think people actually like topper shadows. I like them. So if you use like the velvets or the mattes and put that over, it just gives you that wash of sparkle. It's like a nice inner corner shade because it adds some sparkle and some light without adding like a metallic shine. And I think the problem is people put it over a metallic expecting it to make it like an indie sparkly shadow, and it doesn't. It's just sparkle. It works best over a matte or a cream or by itself. And I think this was really well done, and I'm sad that it was Cinnabar is actually my favorite lipstick, like not just from Lisa Eldridge, but like of all time. It is my favorite lipstick, color, formula, everything. So I was sad that this got discontinued, but very happy to have it, and very happy that I'll still be able to get refills if like I use one of those up or something. So, okay, so that is my list. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you have these, any of these? What are your thoughts on them? Are any of these on like your wish list? I'd love to talk to you all in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. It helps so much, and I will see you all in my next video.